Good morning, good morning, good morning, all. Welcome to the Morning Rush, the morning empowerment call for busy executives, heart-centered leaders causing the change that we want to see in the world. If you haven't been here this week, I don't know what you've been doing, but we've been talking about Jim Rohn. We've got cowboys in the house. We've got beach scenes in the house. We've got Valencia, Spain, and England in the house. There's a lot of things going on. Rita's on the move. It's Friday. It's a new song too. Thank you, Jordan, for the recommendation. And we're moving and grooving. This week was about Jim Rohn, and we went through a number of different topics, from how are we investing in ourselves? How do we 2x our value? A lot of say 10x, but let's start with 2x. Who are you? Who are the top 5 people in your life, and what's the impact of those people in your life? We said, what is success? How do we attract good things to our lives? And today it says unlocking the treasures, be you. I think there's a value that Jim talks about, is like, how do we be ourselves? And how do we, he said, don't join the easy crowd. You won't grow. Go where the expectations and demands to perform are high. Do you put yourself in environments that cause you to grow, cause you to expand? Do you kind of take on new frontiers, press on the edges, the comfort zones, all those things? It's been a fun week. I love Fridays for a weekly review where we review the topics, but we also review like how'd the week go? What's coming up this weekend? How are we getting ready for the week ahead? What's something that we might want to lock in from the week? And let's see here. Who wants to come in? Peter Swain, are you available? What's going on in your world? You've been doing a lot of traveling, and I know you know of Jim Rohn real well. You've been in the Tony Robbins circles. And what are you present to on a Friday? What does your Friday look like when you're heading into a weekend? Do you have any approach for it?
Wow, there's a lot of questions in there. One,
I gotta
I'm
work
lucky
on that.
enough to not recognize a weekend as a thing.
Ooh,
Yeah, there's a lot of there's some. Have you ever heard this thing called micro retirements? Ever heard about that?
no.
Yeah, it's this concept that retiring when you may be too old to enjoy it is a really dumbass idea. And maybe retiring in blocks throughout your life would actually be a more holistic and smart plan. And I think the weekend was an arbitrary invention of Rockefeller and industrial complex, which I don't necessarily choose to buy into. So there are 7 days in my week, and even that is something you can choose whether you want to buy into or not. But I'm going to buy into that one. There are 7 days in my week, so the right days to work and the wrong days to work are different. So I don't necessarily do like a 5-day, 2-day thing, would be my answer. However, I do use it as an arbitrary mark in time. Wow, I'm trying to sound like I'm a really fancy asshole this morning. Um, I do use it as an arbitrary mark to make sure I plan the next week out properly. So this week is about making sure that everything is ended right. And remember, we spoke a couple of days ago about going into any conversation I have, what is it I'm trying to achieve and what is the emotional state I'm trying to leave the person with?
Yes.
That applies to my team at the end of the week as well, of like a mental check-in across my team and going, how do I want them to feel going into their weekend? Now, that isn't always necessarily good. Like sometimes I want them to be pissed off. I want them to be able to be present to whether they succeeded or failed. Because, as I said earlier on this week, I had to fire somebody recently. And I had to fire somebody, if I'm honest, because I didn't manage them properly. I didn't create the boundaries. I didn't give them the feedback. So I took a great person and screwed them up because I wasn't brave enough to stand in the space of you screwed up on week 1 and week 2 and week 3. And I let it compound and compound and compound until the point where it was unsalvageable. Now, she also made lots of mistakes, so it's not purely on me, but I created the environment that allowed it to go wrong. So I would say that that would be a good mark for everybody as you walk into the weekend. Maybe a good exercise would be, who is in my life and how do I want them to feel? Without taking ownership of their feelings, it's good to take an ownership of that. And I would also say what Jay Sipp said yesterday sat with me deeply, of we can all come on these calls and it is amazing and we can learn whatever we want and that's phenomenal. but do the damn thing. Right? Just do the damn thing. It has to be the most important lesson of all, because if you do something, you'll get feedback. If you're growth minded and if you're self-aware, you don't need Jim Rohn, you don't need Tony Robbins, you don't need Landmark, you don't need any of these things. You just need to be able to look at yourself honestly and go, yeah, I just had to fire that person. And yeah, I screwed up as well. And yeah, therefore, what I'm going to do in the future is this, this, and this in order to improve, not to fix, not to be perfect, but in order to prove. So the next time round, I'm better, and not having the ego to allow that to land in such a way that you're like, God, I'm a schmuck. God, I'm a failure. God, I'm horrific, etc., etc., etc. Which I used to say women are maybe more prone to than men. I don't think that's true. Maybe they're just more present to it than men, that they feel that way about themselves. But I think we all do it. Iterate without ego or emotion.
Beautiful, Peter. Thank you for bringing that forward. I know I threw a lot at you, but I think we got a lot from you by throwing a lot at you. So I love it. I look at Wednesday, I mean, not Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever day it ends up being is a reflection of that. Like, what are the wins? What are the losses? But I also love what you're saying. Like, how do we want people around us to feel, whether it's our team, whether it's our loved ones, and maybe looking at that intention, like how'd that go for the week? How is that going to go for the week ahead? How are we going to bring ourselves to have other people feel? And sometimes it sounds like, Peter, like you might want them to be a little disrupted. Like, disruption can be good. Yeah.
I've got a 20-year-old that works for me. She went on holiday for 20 days, which was agreed in advance because she had this thing booked before she started. She got back and she went on a 3-day camping trip and FYI'd me that she had a 3-day camping trip. She didn't ask. She shouldn't have even asked. If you've just taken a month off, we all know you don't then ask for another 3 days. Like, come on, man! Like you're ripping the piss. But if I don't allow her to sit in a space of uncomfortability for a couple of days, I am not being in her service. As a 20-year-old, she deserves and demands of me mentorship and leadership. She needs to know that what she did is not okay. So I don't want her to feel good this weekend. This weekend, I want her to feel sucky, because I want her to realize that another boss in the future might not even give her the grace and might just go, just get out. You're fired. And that would, if that happens in 5 years, that would be my fault today, because she doesn't know better. Like, it's not that she's a bad kid. She's a great kid. She's amazing. But she doesn't know better. And it's my job to go, that wasn't okay. And to make that not okay for her. Not horrible, iffy, ickic. Like, please hear it right. But enough that she's like, oh, I really screwed up. Yeah, you did. And then on Monday, we're done. That's finished. We forgive, but we never forget. And we move forwards. I love that phrase, by the way. Forgive, but never forget.
Give, but never forget. Interesting. Interesting. Take it if you want it. Leave it if you don't. No worries
100%.
here.
You can read. We said this on, was it Wednesday? I don't think you heard, D-Rush. We said, hear everything, but choose what you listen to.
That's it. Hear everything, choose what you listen to. I just put it into the chat, everyone. We're going to go into the breakout room. What is one win for the week? What is one loss for the week? What's one thing you will do? Peter said, do a thing. Do a thing. Todd's here this morning, and we did a thing last night. It was the first time a group got together, and that was awesome. And like we broke some new ground. It was cool. But so what's one thing you're going to do this, maybe today, maybe this weekend, or just something to put into the space? What's one win, one loss, and what's a thing you're going to do as a result of whatever you've gotten from this week? I will open the rooms, and we'll see you all on the other side.